So, you're upgrading your graphics card. This should be one of the best moments for any PC builder, right? I mean, more frames, maxed out settings, that's the dream. But when it goes wrong, oh man, it can turn into a total nightmare. We're gonna walk through how to make sure your upgrade is all excitement and zero stress.
And this right here, this is the exact feeling we're trying to avoid. I bet this quote from a Reddit user hits a little too close to home for some of you. You've dropped the cash, you're so hyped for that performance boost, and then you get nothing, just a black screen. It is so frustrating. But guess what? It's almost always avoidable.
Look, it does not have to be like that. With just a little bit of prep and a solid plan, this can be a super smooth, successful, heck, even a fun process. So let's build that playbook right now. And it all kicks off right here, way before you even click buy. You know, so many of the horror stories you hear about, they boil down to a simple lack of planning. Seriously, a few minutes of prep right now will save you hours of pulling your hair out later.
This is the big question you have to ask yourself. A shiny, powerful new GPU is completely useless if the rest of your rig can't power it, or if it can't even physically fit inside the case. So let's do a quick check to see if your PC is actually ready for what you're about to throw at it.
Okay, it really comes down to these 4 critical things you gotta check. First up, your power supply unit, or PSU. Does it have enough wattage? Go to the GPU maker's website, they'll tell you what they recommend. Second, physical space. And I'm not kidding, grab a tape measure. These new cards are absolute behemoths. Third, you gotta have the right slot on your motherboard, that long PCIe slot. And finally, does your PSU actually have the right 6-pin or 8-pin cables to plug the thing in? You gotta check.
Now, pay close attention to this because this is a big one, the power connection. This diagram shows it perfectly. If your new card has 2 or 3 power sockets, you need to run a separate cable from your power supply to each one. Don't use one of those cables that has 2 connectors on the end. That's called daisy chaining. It can cause all sorts of instability because the card isn't getting the clean, steady power it's hungry for.
All right, planning is done. The new card is here, the box is sitting on your desk. It's time for the main event, the actual physical installation. Now don't get nervous. If you just follow the steps, this is actually pretty simple. Okay, here's the whole process, step by step. First, power everything down. I mean everything. Unplug it. Then open up the case and get ready to take out the old card. Now, the most important thing here is that little release latch on the motherboard slot. You have to press that little tab down before you even think about pulling the card out. Once the old one's out, the new one just slides in. You'll hear a click, screw it in, plug in those power cables, and boom, the hardware part is done.
Okay, I really want to stop and focus on this for a second because this is so important. This warning from Corsair isn't them being overly cautious. This is serious. That tiny plastic latch holds the card in. If you forget to press it and just try to rip the card out, well, that's the #1 way people break their motherboard. It's an expensive mistake. So say it with me. Find the latch, press the latch. Okay, the hardware is in place. You're feeling good. But hold on, we are not done yet. The software side is every bit as important if you want that stable, buttery smooth performance you just paid for. We need to give your new card a totally clean slate to work with. And the absolute best tool for that job is something called DDU, which stands for Display Driver Uninstaller. Basically, think of it like a power washer for your system's old graphics drivers. It goes way deeper than a normal uninstall. It rips out every single file, every registry entry, every trace of the old driver. This prevents all those weird glitches, crashes, and performance issues that can pop up later. And you know what? The process is actually pretty simple. The trick is, download the new drivers for your card first. Just don't install them yet. Have them ready. Next, you're going to reboot your PC into safe mode. That's just a bare bones version of Windows where nothing extra is running. You do this so Windows doesn't get in the way. Once you're in safe mode, you open DDU, tell it to remove the old GPU drivers. Click one button that says Clean and Restart, and just let it do its magic. When your PC reboots back into normal Windows, that's when you install the new drivers you downloaded earlier. Now they're going on to a perfectly clean system. But what if you do all that, you hit the power button, and nothing? Just a black screen. Okay, first thing, don't panic. This happens more often than you'd think, and there's almost always a simple, logical fix.
This right here, this is probably the scariest problem you can have. The computer doesn't even know the new card exists. The lights are on, the fans are spinning, it looks like it's working, but when you try to install the drivers, it just says, no compatible hardware found.
Okay, if that happens to you, here is your emergency checklist. Go through these one by one. Number 1, and this fixes it like 90% of the time. Reseat the card. Power down, take it out, and push it back in firmly until you hear that click again. Next, double check those power cables. Make sure they're clicked in tight on both ends, the card and the power supply. And please check this classic mistake. Is your monitor plugged into the new graphics card and not the motherboard's video port? If none of that works, you might need to update your motherboard's BIOS. Think of it like a firmware update that teaches your old motherboard how to talk to brand new parts.
This is a great way to figure out what kind of problem you're dealing with. So, if your PC actually turns on and gets into Windows, but games are crashing or you see weird colors and glitches on the screen, that's probably a software problem. Running DDU again is your best move. But if the PC won't turn on at all, you get zero display, or you check the BIOS and the card isn't even listed, yeah, that's a hardware problem. Either it's not seated right, a cable is loose, or the card itself might be dead.
And that brings us back to the end of our Reddit user's story. After trying absolutely everything, they came to the tough conclusion that the card itself was just broken. And you know what? Sometimes that happens. It's rare, but you can get a dud right out of the box. It's important to know when to stop pulling your hair out and just start the RMA or return process. And there you have it. By planning ahead and following these steps, you've turned what could have been a day of pure stress into a totally flawless upgrade. The drivers are clean, the performance is amazing, and your rig is ready for anything. So now there's only one question left, and it's the fun one. What's the very first game you're going to fire up to see what this beast can do?